Hey up, Sofa Squad. Black Sofa back again. And I'm back with my brother, Tom of Bedlam. And we're going to be reviewing another one of our favorite movies. This time, Psycho. No, not the first one, Psycho 2. So, Tom, hello.
Hello.
Um, what why aren't we talking about Psycho? Why are we talking about Psycho 2?
That's a good question. I, I guess I anticipated that question somewhat. Um, I guess think it's just the case that Psycho is very well known, has been spoken about an awful lot and analysed an awful lot. But I
Hmm.
think Psycho 2 is lesser known and less celebrated than the original. So I thought it would be interesting to talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. I think we should say right from the word go that there's going to be spoilers, both for Psycho, just in case anyone watching hasn't seen Psycho, which is very unlikely, I would have thought. But certainly for Psycho 2, there's going to be spoilers. I mean,
Absolutely.
we need to spoil Psycho, the first Psycho, in order to talk about Psycho 2.
Yeah. So yeah, if you haven't seen, yeah, I echo that. Yeah, if you haven't seen either of them, yeah, go and watch them, then come back. I guess.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Um, so basically, the premise of Psycho 2 is it's what, 20 years later?
Yeah. The film, it was filmed 23 years later. I
Okay,
But I think in the film they say 25, just a nice round number. I think
yeah.
that's what they say. Yeah.
Hmm. And the film opens with the famous shower scene from from the first movie, and we see Janet Leigh famously getting stabbed in the shower, and then the camera pans to the house through the window in the distance, and of course we hear Norman shouting, "Oh God, Mother, blood, blood!"
Yeah.
And then the credits, because in the 80s, the credits, we saw brief credits at the beginning of movies in those days,
Yeah.
and as you said, the film is set about 25 years later. He spent some time in a mental institution, and he wasn't found guilty. He was found innocent because of insanity, and now he's been released. And so the film, starts in the courthouse where he basically he's been released. And what happens next?
Well, here we are reunited with another character from the first Psycho film. In the first Psycho film, her name is Lila Crane, and she's the sister of Marion Crane, who is the one who is murdered
That's
by
right. Yeah.
by Norman um, in the shower. And in the courtroom, we see her. Her name is now Lila Loomis because she has married the former boyfriend of her sister. You know, so I guess their grief kind of brought them together. And
Yeah.
Sam is dead now, so she's a widow, and she is protesting Norman's release. And she has a big petition. She has a long petition that's been signed by lots of people, including the families of all the other victims that he murdered.
Yeah.
That's sort of thrown out, isn't it? It's like it's considered not it's not legally binding at all, and the judge sort of upholds the decision, and then she says, I can't remember exactly what she says, but I think she says to Norman Bates' psychiatrist, you will have blood on your hands if he kills again, or something like that, doesn't he?
Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that's sort of the end of the opening scene. And Norman's back. He goes back to the old house where he lived before, where all those horrible things happen. I think that's when I first watched it, I was thinking, oh, if that was me, I wouldn't go anywhere near that house as long as I lived.
No, I would never. You'd think, just staying in that house would be triggering.
Yeah, exactly. It's terrible.
And so as soon as the psychiatrist said, "Look, I've arranged for somewhere for you to stay. If you don't want to live here, I say yes, please. Let me. I'll stay anywhere other than here."
Yeah, it's the spookiest looking house in the world.
Yeah.
To be fair, the film acknowledges that. Like you said, the psychiatrist said, "Are you sure you want to stay here, Norman? We can find you a place downtown. The memories. The memories are more likely to occur here.
Yeah.
And he says, no, I'll be all right." And so he's been given a job. Her job has been arranged for him to sort of, I guess, reintroduce him into society. And he works in a cafe.
Yeah.
And in the cafe, he meets, her name...
Meg Tilly.
Her name's Mary. Yeah.
Yeah. That's right, yeah.
But I guess, spoilers. And he's sort of like, I think he covers for her because she drops a plate, and they end up sort of becoming friends. But it turns out, I think we find out pretty early on in the film that she's not who she says she is. She is, in fact, she's Lila Loomis's daughter.
Yeah.
She has an ulterior.
But even before that, but even before that's revealed, we we get a sense that she's hiding something.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, definitely, there's little clues. Yeah, it's foreshadowed, isn't it? A couple of times. She looks a bit shady, doesn't she? But she's the daughter of Lila Loomis, it turns out, and she's befriended Norman on purpose to try and. Well, I'll just say it now because we find out soon enough. But Lila Loomis and with her daughter has come up with a plan to try and drive Norman crazy again, so he'll be locked up again. That's the sign. So there's that. There's in the I think it's. Oh no, it's on his second day. Oh, I get this. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself. So, and then he offers Mary, a bed for the night in his motel, which is being run by a man called Warren Toomey. He's played by Dennis Franz, who played. I remember when we watched this ages ago, when I was a kid. I remember you were a fan of NYPD Blue, weren't you?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
And his character in that was Sipowicz, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. But I didn't know. I remember every time he was on screen, you're like, oh, that's Sipowicz. And he discovers that Warren Toomey has been running a kind of how can I put this? The kind of motel that charges by the hour. There's like kids or young people going there to have sex and take drugs, and anyway, Norman finds drugs in one of the rooms, and he sacks Warren Toomey on the spot.
Yeah.
And then he takes and then he takes a
very cavalier attitude to it.
Yeah, he's got
What's this stuff? I say it was drugs.
Yeah. What he says? What kind of motel are you running here, Mr. Toomey? Yeah, the kind that makes money. And but I mean, it's deplorable behaviour. But his excuse is his argument is that the Bates Motel is so off the beaten track that you know, he has to run that kind of place to make any money, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he sacks him. He takes Marie up to the house. Mary. I keep saying Marie for some reason. I keep saying Marie because that's the alias that
Yeah.
Marion Crane uses in the first film. She calls herself
Yes, that's
Marie
right.
Samuel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Marie Samuels
yeah,
is the alias that she uses. Marion Crane uses in the first film when she books into the motel.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, he takes Mary up there. Mary's kind of reluctant to spend the night in the house, but she agrees. But then it's quite. I think this is a good bit of foreshadowing. Because I think he says this is interesting actually because she says, well, someone at the diner told me that you've been locked up, Norman. And he actually doesn't tell her the whole truth. He just says, my mother went mad when I was a kid, so I put strychnine in her tea and killed her. And he said, I'm all right now though. But he doesn't tell her about all the other people he killed. but we get a sense that. But there's a little bit of foreshadowing because when she agrees to spend the night, you know, she goes to one of the spare rooms. But when we see her, you know, in bed, she's got all the two chairs pushed up against the door. So she obviously is still scared of Norma. And then we have, I think it's one of our favourite scenes. It's quite funny actually. In the diner the next day, Norman's first full day at work, and he's just being told there's like a little carousel thing with all the orders on it in little bits of paper, and he's reading off, you know, 2 BLTs, you know, 1 Holden Mayo, that kind of thing, and then he spins it round, and there's a note. I think it says something like, "Don't let that whore sleep in our house again, mother," or something like that, from mother, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Something like that. And then he freaks out, and then I think he sort of spills something, a bit of burning fat, burns his boss's arm or something, and then he confronts. Oh, sorry, yeah, and Warren Toomey is who's in the diner at the same time.
Yeah.
And he confronts him, doesn't he? So he says, "Cut it out, Toomey." And then Toomey's quite funny. He's like, "Are you talking to me, wacko?"
Then he picks up a knife.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. What are you gonna do? You're gonna kill me, you psycho?
Yeah.
Just like some girls.
Yeah. He goes, "Come on, or is it you only kill women, huh?" Yeah. So like really, it's an unpleasant scene.
Yeah.
And
good old Dennis Franz. You can always count on him to be drunk and abusive.
he's really good in this as well. Like he's perfect antagonist for Norma, sort of. And I think that's the moment Norman just quits the diner job straight away, doesn't he? After that, he doesn't want to be there anymore. Oh yeah, that's it. Because he says, "Look, there's a note. He slipped me a note," but they look around the kitchen, the note's not there anymore.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Look, I know what I saw," and then he just grabs his jacket and goes, and that's it. He's just decided to work in the to run his motel full time. That's what he decides.
Yeah.
And but then it's night time. He's in the house, and then he hears like a car horn beeping really loudly from outside, from down where the motel is, and it's Toomey.
Yeah.
And then he says, I like this too. He's like, "Hey, psycho!" He's like, "Oh, hello, psycho. I just want you to know I'm moving out." And he sort of throws a bit of dirt from the floor up at the house.
Yeah, he's clearly been drinking.
Yeah, he's clearly drunk and all that. And then I think Norman looks through the window and just says to himself, you know, "Bastard," you know.
Yeah.
And then that's it. Then we see Toomey sort of packing his bags, kind of thing. And then a woman. Well, we don't see her face obviously, but we see her from behind a little bit. He looks up. We just see him looking. We see his face looking at this figure that we can't see, and then there's he gets murdered, stabbed to death, and that's that's the first murder, and it's quite graphic and shocking. He gets a cut in his face, doesn't he, first, and then he gets stabbed and all. I suppose we don't have to describe absolutely every scene of that film, but I think that's like the first murder, and then other murders start happening, and there's another murder where one person gets murdered and the other person gets away, and and they describe
two teenagers who decided to go into the basement to to smoke dope and have sex, basically.
Yeah, and but the crucial thing about that is that she gets away, and then she goes to the sheriff and says it was an old woman dressed in black.
Yeah,
and that's the key bit, because then that arouses suspicion. Is Norman up to his old tricks? Because I suppose we should say, even though this is another spoiler, but everyone knows this by now, is that Norman's mental schizophrenia is he has a split personality. Sometimes he's Norman, sometimes he's his mother. And when he was his mother, he'd dress up, and all the murders that he did, back in 1960, were dressed as his mother, an old woman dressed in black. So it kind of looks like Norman's up to his old tricks again.
Yeah.
But there's a weird thing, because Norman seems to have an alibi for that, the second murder at least, because Mary locks him in the attic, doesn't she, or something? So So it's cool. It's kind of a mystery. Yeah, I guess the first film's kind of a mystery as well. We don't really know. We can't during the shower scene we see a woman. Well, I didn't know the big twist because it was such an old film.
Yeah.
I didn't. I guess everyone knew, but I didn't bother asking, so no one told me before I watched it when I was a kid. So I thought it was the mother as well, So there's a mystery in the first one, but there's also a mystery in this film, and we're starting to think: is it Norman up to his old tricks, or is it someone else? Is someone else doing these murders? And it kind of plays with that expectation as well.
Yeah.
And so it kind of develops. There's more murders happen, and then but because there's notes and phone calls and all the other things that Lila Loomis and Mary are doing to Norman, he starts to lose his grip on reality, and he says he's starting to feel confused again. So he doesn't know. He thinks, am I doing this? Maybe I am doing it. And the story develops, and there's some really macabre murders. But there's a sense. I think we also feel very sorry for Norman in this one.
Yeah,
because his outward appearance is very gentle. It's still like in the first one, but even more so in this.
Yeah,
he's very gentle, very he's obviously suffered a lot, and I think, we should also say Mary starts to feel sorry for him too.
Yeah,
I think sorry, go on.
Yeah, she does, because she knows that he couldn't have been responsible for for the murder, for some of the murders.
Yeah,
and she becomes sympathetic towards him, and she begins to question, are we really doing the right thing? We should, maybe we should just leave him alone.
Yeah, because you get the sense at the start she's there, her mum's got her to do it, but even from the start you get a kind of reluctant vibe from her, I think.
Yeah.
But she's doing out of duty to her dead aunt, who was murdered by Norman and her mother. But then she starts to see the effect of it, and she starts to think, and I think she confronts her mum and says, "Look, I'm not going to do it anymore." And then she says, "Just dress up as Norman's mother one more time. That'll push him over the edge, and then we can get him back sent back. And she says, "No, I'm not going to do it. And
Mm.
if you go back to that house, you'll be sorry." And they threaten each other. So yeah, there's a conflict there as well. And then
Yeah.
I guess, should we talk about the ending? I guess this is spoiled. We've got to talk about it in order to talk about the entirety of the film.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
There's Norman. He really starts to lose control, and he keeps getting these phone calls
Yeah.
from someone claiming to be his mother. But then Mary's in the house at the time, and when Mary confronts her mother, Lila, she and I think I was quite convinced when I first watched it. Lila says, "That wasn't me. I swear to you, I haven't been at the house. I haven't called him or anything." And she doesn't believe him.
Yeah.
So there's a real, is Norman just picking up the phone and imagining things, And then he he keeps oh yeah, and the voice on the phone is saying that it's not Norma Bates,
It's
his
his real
actual
mother.
mother.
Yeah.
It's someone else, who his real mother. His real mother isn't the woman who is buried in the graveyard. His real mother is someone else. That's what this voice on the other end of the phone is telling him.
Yeah.
And it culminates in a scene where Lila, she hides the wig and everything, and the dress under a sort of paving stone in the basement,
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
and she goes down to get it one more time to dress up as Norman's mother, send him over the edge, that kind of thing. But she goes down there, and then we don't see the murderer, but she looks up, she screams, and then a knife is sort of plunged into her mouth and through her head, which is
Yeah.
when I say it out loud like that, it sounds like a kind of like a horror, it's a kind of a cheesy horror film murder, but it doesn't seem like that, does it? It's kind of, it's not gratuitous, even though it sounds like it. I think it's quite. I still find it quite a shocking, disturbing murder,
Yeah.
and
Definitely.
it's not, it's not not tacky at all, I don't think. And yeah, and then so it's not, someone has just murdered Lila. So who was that? Was that Norman? You know, I honestly didn't know what to think when I first saw that, and then yeah, Norman starts yeah, he's sort of going with his rock. He's sort of walking towards Mary, and Mary starts stabbing him in the hands because she's terrified of him.
Yeah.
She thinks, well, Norman is off his rocker now. And then they go down into the basement, and then I think she stumbles on, there's like a pile of coal in the corner of the basement, and
Yeah.
a bit of coal falls down, and we see Lila's dead body. And then Mary looks at Norman and said, "You did it. You killed them all." And she's
Yeah.
about to stab him, but then the police are there. The police have been called to the house, and they shoot Mary dead.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
And as far as the police are concerned, it's a cut and dried case that Mary did the killings. She went mad by dressing up as Norman's mother. She went mad. She killed her own mother. She killed Toomey. She killed those, or that poor young lad. And
Yeah.
she's the murderer. She was about to stab Norman as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, the case closed. And at that point, we're sort of we have no reason to suspect that isn't true
Yeah.
until the final scene, where when I first watched it, I found it shocking. I have a different perspective on it now. I'll talk about that in a sec. We see an old woman walk up. It's kind of, they really do the atmosphere and the effects and the music very well. It's like a cold, blustery night, and we see an old woman walk with white hair, in a dark dress, walking up the steps to the Bates house, and she knocks on the door, and Norman's in the kitchen, and he opens the door, and it's Oh, I should have probably mentioned her earlier.
It's Mrs. Ball,
Yeah,
who
there's an
Norman
old.
used to work with at the diner.
Yeah, she works at the diner, and at the start of the film, she says, "I think it's very Christian, to forgive and forget." She's sort of saying she won't judge Norman for his past,
Yeah,
and but yeah, it's Emma Spool, and she says, she basically confesses everything. She says,
yeah,
I'm the one who called you. I'm your real mother. I'm Norma Bates's sister. Um, you're my son, but Norma took care of you because I can't remember the exact reason she gives.
she was too
Uh,
young.
yeah, she was too young. Yeah, she got in a bit of trouble, and and she said, when I saw that what Mary and Lila were doing to my son, well, I couldn't stand back and let that happen. And so yeah, she sort of says she and that's what's been happening. She's the murderer.
Yeah,
And then Norman says, "Oh, do you want some tea?" But he gets the tea out of this very old-looking tin, which I think we can assume it still has strychnine in it,
yeah, yeah,
which is a bit dodgy. You'd think the police would have got rid of it, but yeah,
yeah,
he basically poisons her. But just as the poison seems to be taking effect, you just hear her cough a little bit, and then this is really I was shocked when I first saw this because Norman sort of walks behind her as she's sitting down at the table, and he picks up a shovel and whacks her on the head really
yeah,
hard, and the chair breaks,
yeah,
and she's on the but she's sort of like dies. She's sort of has a sort of spasm on the floor, then dies,
yeah,
and then he carries her upstairs to put her into bed, the dead body, and we hear the old Norma Bates voice, his mother, that he's doing because he used to talk to her, the dead body of his mother, in his voice, then talk back in his mother's voice, and
yeah,
then we hear the mother's voice again, and then I think he used to put her in a chair by the window, didn't he, so she could look out, the dead body, and he does that, and then we have that really iconic shot. He's standing, on the steps outside the Bates house, and we see mother's silhouette in the window, and it's like
yeah.
he's found the replacement. What Lila and Mary did over the course of the film, the events of the film, maybe not just that, maybe being in the house again. It's all come back, and finally at the end he's snapped and he's become how he was, and yeah, we see it's a great shot. Mother's in the window, he's there, and sinister music's playing, and it's kind of the vibe is it's normal service resumed for Norman Bates.
Yeah.
He's back to how he was, and
And
that's
the Bates
where.
Motel, and the Bates Motel sign comes back on.
Yes, yeah. Oh, it's really well done, I think. Anyway,
Yeah,
that's the plot. It's a complicated plot, but it's kind of a low key. I was just talking about it. It's the first time I realised there's only what 3 murders in the whole
yeah,
film, and
yeah,
then hang on, yeah, have I got that right? Toomey, the teenager, and Lila Loomis.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's chilling
That's it.
throughout. There's lots of other chills and scares, going on in that film.
Hmm.
And then the attempted murder at the end. Marie's going to stab Norman and
Hmm.
all that. Oh no, there's another one. Sorry, I forgot. The shrink. He dies,
Yeah,
but it's kind of an
right.
accident.
Yeah,
Because at the time Mary is terrified of Norman, and
yes,
the psychiatrist is obviously he's found out that what Mary and Lila are doing,
yeah,
and then so he tries to grab, because at the time I think Mary's dressed as Norman's mother, because
yeah.
she's trying to say to him, look, if I'm standing in front of you, I can't be on the phone, and he
That's
tries to
right. Yeah,
grab. He tries to grab her, and I think she thinks it's Norman trying to grab her, so she turns around and stabs him, and then he
yeah,
falls down, and in a very unlucky for him sort of situation, that he sort of falls face down onto the banister, and the banister
yeah.
presses the knife in and kills him, which is maybe that's a little bit lame, that bit, but it's
Yeah.
all right.
It's
So
kind of
Oh,
It's
sorry,
kind
go
of
on.
reminiscent. It's kind of reminiscent to how the detective Arbogast died in the first film.
Yeah, but Arbogast's death is much sort of more plausible. I think it's
Yeah,
the banister and the knife lining up exactly is like 1,000,000 to 1 shot, is but yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I'm nitpicking really. But yeah, but there's only sort of three that I'd call that manslaughter. She didn't, there's only three murders, but
yeah.
it's really it's a really atmospheric, brilliant film, and yeah, so that's basically the summary of the plot and how the story goes. But I think well, maybe I should ask you first. Why is it good then?
Yeah, well, I just want to talk about the scariest part of the film for me was not any of the murders. It was when Mary discovers, she's in the bathroom, and out of the corner of her eye, she notices that there's a hole in the bathroom wall,
Yeah,
and she climbs on a step and looks through the hole, and this eye, you know, come, stares back at her.
yeah,
And
that made me jump as well.
yeah, it that scared the big Jesus out of me the first time I saw it.
Yeah, and it's also and it adds to because it's sort of she's looking for a thing, and then the eye isn't there yet. She's looking through it,
Mm.
just seeing the bathroom, and then suddenly an eye moves up to look through it as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I think I guess that Mary thinks that must be Lila, that must be mother, her mother. Um,
yeah.
but I guess that was Emma Spool. Yeah, it
Oh,
must have
yeah,
been. I guess.
yeah. It must have
Yeah,
been.
yeah. I mean, there are some other. Um, Oh, so I should probably say, yeah, that's a scary bit. Yeah. So, sorry, I'll let you finish. So, why, apart from why do you like the film overall? Do you think?
I I like the way it's a proper sequel. It's not just a reboot or a remake. It's a proper sequel with an original, storyline to it.
Yeah,
And we and it's got a good plot. It's a ripping yarn. We understand the motives of the characters, and there's a lot of character, good character development, and it's eerie. It's just as eerie in my opinion as the first one.
mm,
And it, they do the first one. They do justice to the first one. I felt
yeah, absolutely.
it's a rare occasion when the sequel is just as good as the first one.
Yeah, I agree totally with that. I think when I'll just talk about my experience with Psycho 1 and Psycho 2. I think I watched Psycho, the first one, when I was 11.
Hmm.
And I loved it. I thought it was terrifying. I thought it's brilliant. We maybe we could talk about the first one sometime. And then I think I had no. I don't know about you, but for a good couple of years after I watched Psycho, I had no idea they'd made a sequel. And one, I think it was just like it must have come up on TV tonight on BBC Two, Psycho 2. I was thinking, my first instinct was like, oh no, they haven't made a sequel to that, have they? Oh my, it's going to be rough. And then I watched it, and I couldn't have been more wrong. It was just it was done by people who care. It wasn't just to turn a it wasn't to turn a profit to make a buck, was it? It was done by people who care. They did a really great job. I think.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
Anthony Perkins, what 23 years later, and the role slips on him like a glove. He is Norman Bates,
yeah,
but
definitely.
he's also perfectly plausible. Not just he's got the kind of, I guess, some of the mannerisms and stuff, but also he's how Norman Bates would be after 25 years as well, the way he acts. He's I think one of the main sort of moods or emotions of the film is wistfulness. He's very wistful about the past. You know,
Yeah.
he's haunted. Norman Bates is a haunted man, and that comes across. And he's superb. I mean, I think some actors, when they reprise a role after a long time, sometimes they sort of forget how to play them, and they end up doing a sort of caricature or an impression or something like that. But none of that here. He does it perfectly. It's a great. I think argue probably a better performance than even in the first one. You know, is this superb? I think I agree with you. You know, the bit with the eyes is it's terrifying. But there's a very touching scene. I think he's scared and he's confused and he wants Mary to sort of sleep in the same room as him. You know, nothing. You know, untoward, you know, and because he's scared that there's someone out there actually killing people. You know that who's pretending to be his mother, and they have a touching scene where he says to her, "You smell nice," and she says, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, you smell like toasted cheese sandwiches."
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and he says the toasted cheese sandwiches that my mother used to make when I had a temperature. She used to do a lot of nice things for me before she became, insane. And then she says, Shh, just remember, just try and remember all the good things that your mother did. And he says, I can't. The doctors took them all away. The only thing I have left is those toasted cheese sandwiches. You know? And it's really nice scene. It tells us about Norman is reflecting, because obviously you're not going to start talking about, about everything, if you're not in normal day-to-day life. But then in that moment, we hear Norman reflecting on what's happened, and what we learn a bit about what's happened over the last 25 years. You know how they sort of, quote unquote, sort of cured him and all this.
Yeah.
And we see, he's. We feel sorry. I think we feel the same emotions that Mary feels during that whole bit, that whole scene.
Yeah.
We feel very sorry for Norman, but we're also a bit terrified of him as well. Because she wakes up and he's got the knife in his hand, and we don't. And he plays with the audience. We don't know. I think he's just. I can't remember. I think he's holding the knife as a kind of self-defense against the person who's pretending to be his mother, But it's interesting. She trusts him enough just to go to sleep with Norman Bates. So that tells us something, She can see the gentle side of Norman too, and that's quite clever the way they did that. I think that to make her sort of feel empathy with Norman, and that's another reason I love it. I love his performance. She's very good, and it's great to get. I can't remember the actress's name, but the one, Lila Loomis. She's the original actor as well, and that's really good. And it's it's just
Vera Miles.
Vera Miles, that's it, yeah. And like you say, it's a perfect sequel, and it develops the story on. It isn't just, it could have, if in the hands of a sort of money spinning cynic, it could have been so exploitative and just awful. And they did a great job. They carried on the story of Norman Bates. Everything is plausible. Well, it's mostly plausible. yeah. Maybe I'll go, but it's a horror film. In the realm of being, it has to be a horror film. It's it's a plausible enough story, to continue the story of Norman Bates and make it into a horror film. And I love it. Yeah, I think it's a superb film. I think I agree with you that it's pretty much as good as the first one. I think So I love it. I think. I should just I should definitely not forget to mention the score. I found out something interesting about the score. The score is it's a beautiful little piano tune. It's excellent as well. It's a really
Yeah.
excellent. And the person who did the score was, hang on, I've got it in my notes. One sec. I think what's his name? Jerry Goldsmith, I think is that.
That's right. Yeah.
And he did. I found this out. He did the score to The Omen as
Did
well.
he?
Yeah, I didn't know.
Wow.
I have to say I didn't know that until in preparation for this chat. And I mean, The Omen is probably the best horror score of all time, in my opinion. And
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
yeah, he did this as well. And it's just the score itself is kind of, it captures that wistful tone. It's not pure. In the first film, the score is very much, it's all horror. It's all suspense.
Yeah.
It's all quite fast paced and horror and suspense and all that. And it's a great score too. But I think the score of Psycho 2, it captures the kind of the wistful, looking back kind of sad kind of vibes too, doesn't it? So
Yeah.
the music sort of captures the mood of the film, which is really good as well, I think.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, and the sort of the, I guess you could call, it's music. It's the music during the murders is it's really hard to explain. It's kind of like a dirty kind of metallic sound. I don't. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. I do. Yeah.
It's kind of like it's got a horrible sound.
But it's very indicative of the slasher pics of that era. The early '80s.
Yeah,
Of films like Halloween, Friday the 13th,
yeah,
and other films like that. It's very similar.
yeah. I mean, that's a good thing to bring up. I can't think of a better horror sequel. I mean, Halloween 2 was pretty poor.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th 2. I mean, Friday, what's it called? Nightmare on Elm Street 2. I didn't like that much. No, I
No.
think this is probably one of the best horror sequels ever made. I think it's just, they really captured it well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think another thing I noticed, by the way, there's lots of little what's the word I'm looking for? References to the first film as well.
Yeah.
Did you notice Lila Loomis? She's in the basement. She lifts up she's going to lift. She's just about to lift up that paving thing to find the wig and everything.
Yeah.
And then she looks up and she sees her murderer, and she screams. And then the camera sort of zooms in on her mouth screaming, which is exactly the same shots as in the shower scene with her sister.
Yeah.
In the first film, that zoom in on what's her name? What's the actress's name in the first one? Something Lee, isn't it?
Janet Lee.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the camera sort of zooms in on Janet Lee's screaming face, and they do the exact same shot for Lila Loomis's death, which I thought was pretty good.
And also there's a shower scene with Mary as well, which is almost shot for shot the same as the famous shower scene in the first movie.
Yeah, but with a different outcome.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And something I found out was that Anthony Perkins' widow was where the way she died. She was in one of the planes that hit the World Trade Center.
Yes, yeah. I didn't know that until this week. Yeah, yeah. It's really it's terrible.
Yeah,
Also, I've discovered I haven't really looked into this, but apparently Anthony Perkins had some mother issues himself.
really.
Apparent, I can't remember the details. I probably shouldn't say unless I've got my facts straight on this. But yeah, but apparently his mother was a bit overbearing, and he had a very troubled childhood with his mother or something like that. I don't know the details. But yeah, so maybe it's art. Well, not life imitating art. Maybe art imitating life.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And it isn't Psycho based on true events?
Yeah, it's based on a book by Robert Bloch, but Robert Bloch based based the story very loosely on the serial killer Ed Gein, because he, I think, he stole his mother's corpse from its grave, and he also, when he killed people, he removed. Well, this is not Norman didn't do this, but he sort of, I think he removed their skin, and he was trying to create another skin for him to be in, or something like that. Something horrible.
Yeah,
But I think it was the mother thing, and the dressing up as his mother. It's all very loosely based, but it was kind of inspired. But I mean, Ed Gein inspired lots of horror stories. Like, apparently, he inspired The Silence of the Lambs
I was about to say that. Yeah,
and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and who knows what else. But yeah, I think he's generally considered to be the first sort of main, I guess, the first killer who was identified as a serial killer, I think.
or the first serial killer who became whose story became popularized.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, because Jack the Ripper was a serial killer. Yeah, but I guess they did they. Excuse me. I don't think they used the term serial killer for Jack the Ripper, I guess.
No, no.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I just wanted to talk about the final scene.
Yeah.
Um, I think
I think I know what you're going to say, but go on. Yeah.
there's and I think this reflects. There's another part of the film that we haven't talked about. I think there is a kind of, it's very subtle. It's not there in every scene, obviously, but there's a subtle sort of thread of dark humor running right through the film, I think.
Yeah.
And when I first watched that end scene, Norman bashes Emma Spall over the head with a shovel. You know, I found it quite shocking and disturbing. But as an adult, you can sort of see. I read a lot of. I actually, the scene is on YouTube, and I was reading a lot of the comments, and a lot of them were saying, like when they're in the cinema, like the whole cinema. I think one bloke said there was like a shocked silence for about a couple of seconds, and then like the cinema burst into laughter. And it is,
right.
it's horrible, but there is some kind of, it is kind of funny.
Yeah.
I mean, when I I won't say her name. With my girlfriend, she hadn't seen it. She hadn't seen Psycho 2, and she said she wanted to watch a horror film. And I was thinking, oh yeah, let's watch Psycho 2. And there was a video that said Psycho 2 DVD rip or something like that, full movie on YouTube. And I was thinking, oh, result. So I set it all up, I dimmed the lights and let's watch a nice macabre film, a nice scary film. And then I clicked on the play button, and the bloke who'd made the film, it was like a practical joke, the idiot. The bloke who'd made it, it was basically Norman hitting Emma Spall on the head with a shovel on a continuous loop. It was like, pow, 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 pow.
Yes. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Oh, have you seen it? Oh,
Yeah.
that's hilarious.
All for the same trick.
Yeah, and I mean, if the Joker who made that video ever listens to this video, you know, well done, because it worked a treat. You know, it worked a treat with me. I had to sort of say, no, this is. I sort of kind of said, because I didn't want to ruin it.
Yeah.
So I sort of said, oh no, this isn't it, and I was like, where's the mouse? You know, to try and turn it off. But is it? I tried to find that video the other day. I couldn't find it. Did you? Have you? Is it still on YouTube? Do you think?
I don't know. It may be.
Oh my God! I'll have a look for it
Maybe.
after this. Yeah. So you seen that video too?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Because again, I can't take credit for this observation, but there was one of the comments on YouTube of the actual scene, you know. But they said, "Oh, I mean, it makes sense. It must have been like a foam shovel, you know, that looks real, but it's made of foam."
Yeah.
And the sound department did a great job selling it. You know, it looks great. You know, it's a real prop, bit of, you know, perfectly timed sound effect, and then it's a great thing. No need for any special effects like that. It looks really good. You know, it looks really real.
And she sold it really well too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but yeah, it's funny. I mean, like, you know, Warren Toomey's kind of a funny character as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a bit of funny. The sheriff, he's kind of funny as well.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of humor there, you know, running through it. But you know, when it's serious, it's serious. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very enjoyable film to watch, and the score's good, and it looks like the house. I guess I don't. I mean, the house isn't there like a Universal Studios thing where you can go into the house and all that?
Yeah.
So maybe the Psycho house was already there, so because it looks identical, and they get different angles on it, you know, and yeah, it's just I mean, it's a kind of house that, even though it's just in a film, you know, I could find a way around that house pretty easily. I think, you know.
Yeah.
I know where the basement is. I know where the sort of living room is. You know where mother's bedroom is, and the kitchen. Yeah. It's almost like the house is like a character in these films as well, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, there's another Easter egg in the movie that reminds you know, which reminds us of the first movie, where Norman invites Mary into the kitchen, and he makes her a sandwich, and she says, "Aren't you going to have one?" And he says, "Oh no, I'm not hungry. You know, it's all for you." And that's exactly, you know, it's a similar conversation that he had with Marion Crane in the first film.
Yeah. And he makes sandwiches and milk as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there's a nice little, there's lots of little nods. You know, when you know, the original plan is to just you know, give Mary one of the motel rooms, and he says, and he reaches for the key to the you know, room number 1.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He sort of hesitates, doesn't he? Because that's the room that Marion Crane stayed in.
Yeah.
And so he sort of, he hesitates. That's a little nod to it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, I think when you're watching a film, because you think, well, I've got to watch it, in order to talk about it. Yeah, you noticed a lot of other little things, but I guess maybe we should talk about. Are there any criticisms of this film?
I can't think of any really.
I've got a couple of sort of nitpicks, but it's really, this is nitpicky. Oh, I've mentioned one already. The way the shrink, he's got a knife in his chest, and he falls down a 1,000,000 to 1 shot. It lines up perfectly with the banister and plunges it deeper into him. But he could have easily just died from the stab wound anyway. You know what I mean? So it's not like the plot doesn't hinge on that stroke of fate. You know, she could have stabbed him in the heart, and that could have been that anyway. So, I guess this isn't a real criticism. It kind of reminds me of a problem I have with another film, which is now before we know the truth, it's all perfectly it's all plausible within the realms of a horror film. But when we find out, oh, it was Emma Spool, okay, and you think, hang on a minute, she's a very frail old lady, Emma Spool.
Yes.
Warren Toomey was completely scared stiff of her.
Yeah.
And he doesn't put up much of a fight. He just stands there and allows himself to be stabbed to death. And there's like that kid. I guess he's like 18 or something. So I mean, it could be. I mean, this is a nitpick because it could have been. I mean, his back is turned and he's scrambling up those logs trying to get out. So he's at a disadvantage. Warren Toomey, maybe he was just before the first blow struck. He was probably just dumbstruck. He probably didn't see it. He wasn't expecting it, and then all you need is one good shot, and then But Emma Spool, is kind of a unlikely murderer, I guess. Because the other film this nitpick reminds me of is, you've seen Godfather 2. I mean,
yeah.
Sorry, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Godfather 2. Don't listen to it. But there's an attempt on Michael Corleone's life. At the Corleone compound, there's machine gun fire through his bedroom window, and he narrowly avoids getting assassinated. And all of his henchmen scramble around, and they find the bodies of two would-be assassins in this ditch, on the premises, on this sort of like a drain ditch, whatever it is, and they've been killed, and Michael Corleone says, "Oh, if unless I'm very much mistaken," because he hasn't seen this yet, but before that he says, "Unless I'm mistaken, they won't find them alive. They'll be killed by who the traitor is, in the family. Frightened that he botched the assassination." You think, okay, and then we find out it's the traitor in the family was Fredo. I dropped the gun when they were shooting my dad, Fredo.
Yes. Yeah.
We're to believe that he snuck out of the house, killed two armed assassins, and snuck back into the house without anyone noticing. It's the same kind of thing. It's sort of like, it's plausible until you find out who did it. And I looked. There's lots of discussions on this on the internet, and according to the book, and the general consensus is, yes, Fredo is the traitor. Therefore, Fredo is the one who killed those two assassins. But that has never sat right with me.
No.
I love Godfather 2. I actually think the first one's better. But yeah, that's a kind of, that reminds me of this sort of thing. But I guess Emma Spool has the kind of what's the word? The advantage of surprise. She can.
Yeah.
Even if you saw her with a knife, you might not immediately assume she's going to go through with it, or So I mean, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, she takes Lila Loomis by surprise. She takes the kid by surprise. So it's the only, and yeah, the kid's got his back, you know. So I guess the only one that you could raise an eyebrow at is the Warren Toomey's murder.
Yeah,
Which, you know, I mean, he's not in good shape, but he's still a grown man. So yeah. But again, these are nitpicks, really. Yeah, overall, it's a great horror film, and
yeah,
it it I can't. When I first watched it, I was pleasantly surprised at how good it was, and
yeah,
especially the title. You know, nowadays I'd have to think up some clever little to avoid using the term Psycho 2. You know, they would have, they would have thought up some supposedly clever title, but yeah, the title,
Psycho 2.0 or something.
yeah, yeah, but or Psycho the Reawakening or something stupid like that. But you know, Psycho 2 is what it is in it, and it carries on the story really well. And like you say, it's not an attempt to make a reboot or anything stupid like that. It's an actual sequel following on from the events of the first film, and it works very well indeed.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Anyway, we've been chatting for just over an hour now, so I think we'll wrap things up.
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I think we've covered it quite thoroughly. But yeah,
Yeah,
recommended to anyone who hasn't seen it.
yeah, yeah. Go out and watch Psycho 2. Yeah, definitely. And if you haven't seen Psycho, watch Psycho as well.
Yeah.
But don't bother with Psycho 3 or Psycho 4.
Oh, I think Psycho 3 is worth a. I was going to mention. I was going to talk about Psycho 3 for a bit, but yeah, Psycho 3 is okay. It's okay. It's not. Psycho 4 is rubbish, but
Yeah.
I'd say Psycho 3 is okay. And the score, I should mention the score. The score to Psycho 3 is superb. And it's done by Carter Burwell, who does all the Coen Brothers music.
All
And
right.
and it's I mean, if you haven't heard it in a while, Mike, you should go on YouTube and listen to it. It's a really good tune. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I may look into that actually.
Yeah. But maybe we can talk about the genius of Carter Burwell some other time.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Okay, well, that said, yeah, we haven't had any live viewers, but if you're watching later on, yeah, thanks for thanks for watching, and if you've liked this video, then give us a thumbs up, and if you're new, do subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you never miss another video. Okay, bye for now.